Good morning, everybody. And we are coming to you live from Congregation Beth Yeshurun, where we are about to begin another installment of the Torch Parsha Minute. But this week, as we mentioned last week, we're going to talk a little bit about Purim, because next week is going to be a fast day. We're still going to meet here at 9:30, but it's a fast day. It's the fast of Esther, right? Tanis Esther. And next Saturday night, on the 11th, we're going to read the Megillah. And then on the 12th is Purim. We're going to celebrate and again hear the Megillah. But one of the astonishing things about the Megillah is that when we read it, when we read the Megillah, it seems like there's one coincidence after another coincidence, after another coincidence, after another coincidence, and each one of them leads to the final coincidence that ends up to be the Jewish people being saved. And the problem is that that's the way many people see life every day. They see life, or as things happenstance, or it's a coincidence. The truth is that any believer in God needs to remove the word coincidence from their lexicon. Because there is no coincidence in Judaism. Some people call it by the word bashert, but what that really means is that there's a big God who takes care of all the details to get us to where we need to be. That's really what it is. We look at the story, and it's incredible how it starts off in how, in order for this whole plot to come to fruition, Achashverosh first had to get rid of his wife, create a vacancy for Esther to come in, right? And then you have all of the advisors giving really silly advice to Achashverosh, and he takes it. Get rid of the queen. Don't forget, he only became king because of her, right? Because her family was the royal family. Now he got rid of her, right? So you think there would be a coup, right? They'd get rid of him because he's a what they call in Yiddish a Zugekommener. He came onto it through his wife. And then you have, Haman disliking the Jews, becoming a high-profile figure, not liking that Mordechai wasn't bowing down to him. They make a party. Now, you have to understand, the party that they made of 180 days, you know what that party was? It was to celebrate that the Jewish prophecy was wrong. What was the Jewish prophecy? It said that 70 years after the destruction of the first temple, there'll be a second temple. So here we're at year 69 or 70, according to their calculation, and they said, you see, the prophecy is off because it never came to fruition. The Jewish people obviously don't have a temple. They're so belittled in our country. There's no way in the world that they're going to have a temple. So they decided a 180-day feast. This is, again, advice of Haman. And Achashverosh goes for it. Now, what was the goal? What was the goal of that party? The goal of the party was to get the Jewish people to sin. That was the goal. That was the stated goal. The Midrash tells us that they conceived of this idea because they said the only way for us to really take down the Jews if they sin at will. We can't force them to sin. If you force them to sin, it was against their will, it's not considered a sin. But if they sin at will, then we can get them down. Which is just an interesting side. Maybe we should dedicate some time to this in a different Parsha minute. But we have to understand that sinning at will was the goal. Meaning, if someone is forced to eat non-kosher, they're not punished. A Jew is forced to eat non-kosher, so they're not punished for doing it willingly. But if it's there and they end up taking it because, wow, it looks so good, it smells so good, everyone's saying, wow, it's so delicious, I'll just try one. So then it's their own will that brought them to it, and then they're responsible. So one of the rules of that party was that no one is forced to eat or drink anything. Right? We have to drink kosher wine. Right? So they had kosher wine there at the party, at Achashverosh's party. But they also had non-kosher wine. And that was the temptation that people had to stand up to. And that is the temptation that's no different than what we need to stand up to. We in our generation have a lot of temptations that are placed in front of us, whether it's social pressure, whether it's because of friends, whether it's because of neighbors, whether it's because of all of the different circumstances that are put in front of us. And we have to stand strong to our convictions, to what we know is true, to our belief in God, to our faith in Him, and stand up for what's right. And to stand up against our Yetzer Hara. Okay, so now we have the Jewish people, and think about it like this. The Jewish people were against Mordechai. Some of them were against Mordechai as well. They're like, he's out of touch. He doesn't understand. The reason why they hate us, they said, right, the intellectuals, right, the Jewish intellectuals, what did they say? Why does Achashverosh and Haman hate us? You know why they hate us? They said they hate us because we're being exclusive. We're not assimilating with the non-Jews. Look, they're having a party, and Mordechai is saying, don't go to the party. Why is Mordechai saying don't go to the party? Mordechai is saying don't go to the party because he knows what's going to happen is the Jewish people are going to be enticed by all of the delicious foods, by all of the incredible availability of drinks, some of them being non-kosher, and they're going to fall. Mordechai says, stay away. What do? They say, listen, Mordechai, you're just out of touch. You don't realize something. It sounds like modern day, right? Mordechai, you don't understand. The only way they're going to stop hating us is if we're like them. If we assimilate, if we integrate. But the truth is, it's the biggest fallacy. It's the biggest mistake that has ever been presented in Judaism. They're never going to love us, not if we're like them and not if we're not like them. You see that all of the different pogroms and expulsions that we've had and holocausts that we've experienced as a nation. So some were because they're too rich, we have to get rid of them. Some of them, they're too poor, they're a burden on us, right? One is they're not integrated with us, right? They're exclusionists, they're on their own, right? We hate them. Then they're too assimilated with us. Whatever we did, they hated us for it. Right? We think, oh, now we're going to be assimilated with the non-Jews in the United States, and the non-Jews are going to love us. And they're still destroying our cemeteries, and they're still, threatening our JCCs and synagogues. And I mean, when will we ever get sense of this? That being assimilated is the test. God is telling us, I'm going to put that enticement in front of you. You need to stand up firm, stand up strong, and say, I'm not going to stray from the way. That was the challenge. All right, so we'll talk more about that perhaps in the coming days, but in future Parsha minutes. But the idea is that then you have, right after that, you have another instance of the Jewish people being tested. And then there's a decree. And then there's the Jewish people finally recognize that if we don't repent, if we don't ask for forgiveness from the Almighty, we're not going to have that miracle. Even if Esther goes inside, even if Esther gets part of, you think, oh, we're going to have a Jewish president, we're going to have a Jewish vice president, or we're going to have a daughter of the president who's Jewish. And then all of the problems are going to be solved. That's not either the case. We have to be worthy of it. We have to be worthy of it. And that's the real key. And we have to recognize what we wanted to touch on at the onset of this idea, is that we need to search for the miracle. So you need to, it's not going, people say, yeah, if God is really here, then he should have a lightning bolt and drop down over here a safe filled with money right in front of me. Right? That's never going to happen. It's going to be embedded in a way that you will think that it's nature. If you just stand back, you'll see, wow, this is a miracle. You know, think of the Jewish people. We just read this 2 weeks ago. We talked about 3 weeks ago. We read about how the Jewish people had the Exodus from Egypt. And how did we leave? Right? We didn't take a bridge. We walked right through the ocean. Right through. An amazing miracle. Well, people didn't necessarily see it as a miracle back then. Just a few days later, they're complaining. This is what you brought us here for? Right? What, there are no graveyards in Egypt? You have to bring us to die in... You guys just experienced the most incredible miracle in the world. Yeah, but that's not the way people see it when they're living through it. That's one of the reasons, by the way, that in so many of our mitzvahs, we constantly need to go back and remember that I've taken you out of Egypt, that I've taken you out of Egypt. Now that we're zoomed out, we can look and we're like, wow, that's the most incredible occurrence of events. They were a miracle. They weren't just there, right? But when you're living through it, you don't really see it. Now we have the Megillah of Esther. We can see it as a beautiful picture of how one coincidence, right? Not a coincidence, but one instance and another one and another one and another one, you put them all together. This is like the most incredible miracle. And that's why it's a special mitzvah to read the Megillah on Purim. Is that we learn to see the hand of Hashem every single day of our lives. It's not only what happened then, it's what's happening now. It's not only that back then there were miracles, today there are miracles. All we need to do is open our eyes. And we need to stand firm to our values, to our truths as Jews, to what the Torah teaches us, and we'll see endless miracles. Hashem should bless us all, that we should continue to live the lives we're living, not by coincidence, but by seeing that it's a miracle. There is no coincidence in Judaism. It's hand-tailored by God. Custom for you. As long as we'll see that, we'll be happy, we'll feel connected. The minute we start going, well, it just happened to be, it worked out like that. No, it didn't just happen to work out like that. God set it up like that, so that you should be able to see His hand. You should see how He is manipulating and controlling things behind the scenes to make your life a better life. Hashem should bless us all, that we should have a fantastic week ahead next week, and a great Shabbos this week. And I look forward to continuing our learning this morning. Those of you who are not here with us, you're welcome to join us every Thursday morning at 9:30 at Congregation Beth Yeshurun in the boardroom. Have a fantastic day. Thank you for joining.